A very good evening, a watery sort of a wet good evening to all of you because of the rains outside. To the members of the dais, the Member of Parliament, Ms. Lekhi, Baroness Verma, Mr. Lavasa, Shri Pasayat, and Lieutenant General Ahluwalia, and to this great audience here. I've had a chance of discussing a few environmental issues in my session with corporate social responsibility, but there are 3 or 4 points which I would like to make. One is that I'll not talk anything negative because it's a time for celebration for the people who have exemplarily shown that they can actually perform on the ground and sustain the initiatives that their institutions long them for. One, I remember, I think it was in 1968 that Clever came out with a thought which said, if you're not a part of the solution, you're definitely a part of the problem. I don't know how many of us are a part of the problem, but this half, and I want you all to give a big round of applause to this half and the front rows because they are a part of the solution. So please give a big round of applause. You can all afford it first, number one, because they are the winners. Now, what happens in human race is, study has shown, and this study was done by University of New York in the year 1971, where it showed that human race has a tendency to react very positively to sudden proactions. Like, for example, if the surface is very hot and you touch the surface, you suddenly pull your hand back because that's your reflex action. So we are very good at when we react to situations in a spurt. But the same human race is terrible and is horrible when it comes to address long-standing, slow-burning issues. And why I'm saying that is because environmental sustainability is slowly turning out to be an issue like that. Now, we all keep talking about the earth being small, the earth being finite, the requirements being infinite. Let me tell you one thing. You don't need to worry about the planet. The planet is taking care of itself. It's not going to tilt. It's not going to straighten. It's going to stay the way it is. We are the problem. And we are the problem because we are 7 billion now. And by 2020, we are going to be 9 billion. Right now, you're consuming 50% more than what the finite space of earth has. So in the morning, as I spoke, you already started your finance with 50% debt. So you already started over-consuming 50%. Where is this 50% coming from? You're stealing it from the future. And that's what sustainability is. You don't have the fundamental right to steal anything from your child's future. And believe me, your child, my child, and our grandchildren are very going to face this music. Now, you know, this peculiar positioning that we have is that we are the first race in civilization. We are the first generation in the civilization which is seeing the effects of climate change and environmental degradation. Contrary, we are the last generation which will have a chance to do something about it before it becomes irreversible. Now, the impact of deniability that some of the speakers today spoke that, you know, we are doing good. We are doing pretty good about environmental sustainability. But Baroness Verma would know because she is at a multilateral international forum that she addresses. And her exposure would make her realize, and a lot of us would realize, that we are not even 1.1 where we should be at the starting point of environmental management as far as private sector or public sector or corporations at large are meant. We are still denying. You go to a conclave, you go to discuss with these people and they will say, we are doing so much. They won't evaluate on the process of how much has to be done. They would talk about the denial factor. Talking about denial, one of the reasons that they give is the conversion from our systemic old processes to newer environmentally sustainable processes are going to cost a lot. Now, I know an example. For example, in the United Kingdom, about 200 years ago, slavery used to be a very common phenomenon. And the industries, the financial sector, the industries used to employ a lot of slaves. The debate that started was, can slavery be done without? Can slavery be done away with? And the financial sector usually came up with a norm. They said 25% of the cost is going to increase if slavery goes out. But you see what happened? Eradication of slavery gave rise to industrial revolution and innovation. Costs of profit tripled, not only by percentile, but they tripled 3 times. And today we are sitting and we are talking about industrial revolution after so many years. So my concern here is that history has shown us the cost of the disasters, that if we forget to address the environmental concerns at a necessitated time, is going to be much more than the costs of the investments that we have to make for adherence to this investment platform. I have a child, and most of us will be having children at home. I don't want to give a dysfunctional ecology or an economy to my child for their future. You have shown the way. I abide and I commit that I will follow. I hope the other winners who are going to be here next year will follow your suit. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and let's not take away from the debate the major topic of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chakravarti.